Well, hello, boys and girls. I was just checking over some social media and looking, and I realized a lot of people like to brag about what they have. And then somebody comments, oh, I have things better than you, or things like that. That's just not the right thing to do. Well, I have a story for you by Dr. Seuss, and it is one of his lesser known stories. It's called The Big Brag. Have you ever heard the story? Oh, if you have not, it's a wonderful story, and I am so happy to be able to share it with you today. It starts out. The rabbit felt mighty important that day on top of the hill in the sun where he lay. He felt so important up there on that hill that he started in bragging as animals will. And he boasted out loud as he threw out his chest, of all the beasts in the world, I'm the best. On land and on sea, even up in the sky, no animal lives who is better than I. What's that? Growled a voice that was terribly gruff. Now why do you say such ridiculous stuff? The rabbit looked down and he saw a big bear. I'm the best of the beasts, said the bear. And so, there. You are not, snapped the rabbit. I'm better than you. Pooh, the bear snorted. Again I say pooh. You talk mighty big, Mr. Rabbit. That's true, but how can you prove it? Just what can you do? Thought the rabbit. Now, what can I do? He thought and he thought, then he finally said, Mr. Bear, do you see these two ears on my head? My ears are so keen and so sharp and so fine, no ears in the world can hear further than mine. The bear grunted. He looked at each ear. You say that you're good, said the bear with a sneer, but how do I know just how far you can hear? I'll prove, said the rabbit. My ears are the best. You sit there and watch me. I'll prove it by test. Then he stiffened his ears till they both stood up high and pointed straight up at the blue of the sky. He stretched his ears open as wide as he could. Shh! I am listening, he said as he stood. He listened so hard that he started to sweat, and the fur on his ears and his forehead got wet. For 7 long minutes he stood, then he stirred, and he said to the bear, Do you know what I heard? Do you see that far mountain? It's 90 miles off. There's a fly on that mountain. I just heard him cough. Now the cough of a fly, sir, is quite hard to hear when he's 90 miles off. Why, I heard it quite clear. So you see, bragged the rabbit, it's perfectly true that my ears are the best, so I'm better than you. The bear for a moment just sulked as he sat, and he knew that his ears couldn't hear things like that. This rabbit, he thought, made a fool out of me. Now I've got to prove that I'm better than he. So he said to the rabbit, You hear pretty well. You can hear 90 miles, but how far can you smell? I'm the greatest of smellers, he bragged. See my nose? I'm the greatest. This nose on my face is the finest that grows. My nose can smell anything, both far and near. With my nose I can smell twice as far as you can hear. You can't, snapped the rabbit. I can, growled the bear, and he stuck his big nose way up high in the air. He wiggled his nose and he sniffled and snuffed. He waggled his nose and he whiffled, he puffed. For more than 10 minutes he snapped and he snuffed. Then he said to the rabbit, I've smelled quite enough. All right, said the rabbit. Come on now and tell exactly how far is that smell that you smell. Oh, I'm smelling a very far smell, said the bear. Away past that fly on the mountain out there. I'm smelling past many a great mountains beyond. 600 miles more to the edge of the pond. And way out there by the pond you can't see is a very small farm. On the farm is a tree. On the tree is a branch. On the branch is a nest. A very small nest where 2 tiny eggs rest. 2 hummingbird eggs, only half an inch long. But my nose, said the bear, is so wonderfully strong. My nose is so good that I smelled without fail that the egg on the left is a little bit stale. And that is a thing no rabbit can do. You see, the bear boasted, I'm better than you. My smeller's so keen that I just can't be beat. What's that? Called a voice from way down by his feet. The bear and the rabbit looked down at the sound, and they saw an old worm crawling out of the ground. Now, boys, said the worm, you've just been bragging a lot. You both think you're great, but I think you are not. You're only half as good as a fellow like me. You hear and you smell, but how far can you see? Now I'm here to prove to you big boasting guys that your nose and your ears aren't as good as my eyes. And the little old worm cocked his head to one side, and he opened his eyes, and he opened them up wide. And they looked far away with a strange sort of state, as if they were burning 2 holes in the air. The eyes of the worm almost popped from his head. He stared half an hour till his eyelids got red. That's enough, cried the bear. Tell the rabbit and me, how far did you look and just what did you see? Well, boys, the worm answered, that look that I took was a look that looked farther than you'll ever look. I looked across the ocean way out to Japan, for I could see further than anyone can. There's no one on earth who has eyesight that's finer. I looked past Japan, then I looked across China. I looked across Egypt, then took a quick glance across 2 countries of Holland and France. Then I looked across England and also Brazil. But I didn't stop there. I looked much further still. And I kept tight on looking and looking until I looked around the world right back to this hill. And I saw on this hill, since my eyesight's so keen, the two biggest fools that ever have been. And the fools that I saw were none other than you. You seem to have nothing else better to do than to sit here and argue who's better than who. Then the little old worm gave his head a small jerk, and he dived in his hole and went back to his work. A rather funny story, isn't it, boys and girls? Yes, it was the little old worm who really saw nothing but what was right there in front of him the whole time. Two fools that spent all of their time bragging and boasting and trying to outdo one another. They proved absolutely nothing. We each have great strengths. The ears of the rabbit can hear. The great nose of a bear can smell for miles. And those are great strengths and something to be very proud of. But why do we try to be better than someone else than just to be happy with the skills and the strengths we already have? Some people are wonderful in sports, and that is great. But instead of boasting about how I'm better than someone else, what strengths do you have? Some are in athletics, some are in math, some are in reading, and some are with band. We each have great strengths. That's nothing to boast about. We take it with pride that we each have such gifts. We don't try to compare ourselves with other people. We're happy for each person. If that person's great at basketball, congratulations, you're great. But look in your side, because you're great at something too. Well, boys and girls, I hope you liked our story about the brag. And as always, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.